Hello everyone, welcome to our channel, and that is Double Click Academy, your ultimate online lesson. Today, you realize basically we shall be looking at that is how to answer questions in Microsoft Word. And the other time we looked at how to answer questions in Microsoft Excel. But before we continue, please make sure that you click and subscribe to our channel so that you'll be always the first person to receive our updates whenever we post them. Question for today is requesting for payment. This is a Word document that we are going to work on, and these are also parts of the questions that we are going to be answering, and the questions run up to question 15 14. So this is the question, and please stay tuned as we go through this, and you'll be in position to always get all the concepts that you need, more especially from the home tab. And we have to start from here now. So we now assume that we have already opened our Word document. Here is our plain Word document, and then we shall now be in position to type what we want to type, and that is basically the document, the question in the Word. From here, the question starts from to the dean, and then the question ends from looking forward for your feedback. Under required, these are now what is expected of us, and that's what we shall be doing to answer this. But before we start answering, we now type this, then we can now go to answering our questions later on. So up to here, now you realize that we have already typed in some of the text that is from the dean through the finance minister, Rapai Campus, and then now here we have our that is requesting for payment, and everything now we have typed, but we have not yet formatted anything. So we can now first of all format this before we go to the table, because with the table I will not do it in silence, but then we shall all do it together because it's one of the things you have to learn. So we can first format this. Now, when you look at our original document, you realize from here we have the dean through finance minister, Rapai Campus. Here you realize we basically have, they have bolded them, and then request. Here the requisition, they have put it as requisition also is bolded, and they have slanted it into italic, and then is underlined. So that is all what we are going to do before we now come to the table, because we have to draw a table as well. All of us, we have to draw the table. So we can first try to format this. Now we want to format it by bolding this. So we shall now highlight this that we are going to bold up to here. Even this is supposed to be bolded, so we can now highlight it, and all of us, we assume we know how to highlight. So now for this case, after highlighting it, now we now come to bold, which is B here. When you point at it, shows bold. So we shall now click on that, and now you realize that our document, or what we highlighted, has been bolded. But then we shall also go back to the document, and in the document here, under they have put it as a italic and then underline. So that is basically the same thing we shall do. Of course, we shall still highlight whenever we want to do anything. We first highlight that thing they have told us to format. So we have highlighted it. Then now we shall come to italic. Is this when you point at it, shows italic? Then we click on it. Then now here also they have put bold. Underline. Underline is here. So we shall also click on underline, and you realize that our work has been underlined for that case. So up to this level, you now realize that we are at par with what our original document tells us, shows in us. Also, maybe we shall also now look at how we are going to get the 100 degrees. I typed it before, but we can also remove it and try to put the 100 degrees so that we shall know exactly what we are supposed to do to get the 100 degrees. So we are redoing that. So from here, they are telling us one of the activities the student did was basically sweeping the compound daily for 2 months, even when the temperature was at now 100 degrees. So we are typing there 100 degrees. How do we type 100 degrees? Of course, we first type 100. Then now we want to put the degrees up. Now, when you come on top here under Home tab, you realize there is X, which is a subscript, and then we have X squared, which is superscript. So that is where basically we are going to do. If it was base, we would now come to subscript. But now for this case, we are going for degrees, and degrees is superscript. So that's basically what we are going to do. So we shall click on superscript here, and then now we shall come and put the 0 there. Now, when you're done with putting that, of course, now you continue, but we don't continue with this when we have not yet remove the superscript. So after that, after putting the degrees, we shall come back here and click on it so that now our typing will be normal, not again in superscript. So that's basically how we did in our degrees, and that's exactly what you should also be doing for the degrees. So now we shall get back to the next part of the question, which is now the expected amount. Now, assuming maybe we don't know how to put the expected in the caps lock, then now for this case, uppercase. But now for this case, we can either do it in two ways. Either we shall type it normally and then we go to change the case. Maybe that's what we can do. But also you can also use the keyboard. That's basically to go to caps lock. When you click on caps lock and the light is on, it means now you're in capital letters for your own understanding. But of course, capital letters, we call it uppercase. So that is that. But for this case, we shall just type it and then we shall use our home tab to change that. So we are done with that. Then now we press enter key. We now want to to type the word that is the expected amount. So that's what we are going to do. Now we are typing the word, the expected amount. Now, when you look at what we have just typed, you realize basically this is not the same as it appears in the question paper. In the question paper, it shows it as caps lock. For this case, that is uppercase or capital letters. So we also now want to make it to appear uppercase. So we shall highlight this word. After highlighting the word, we shall now come still under our home tab. When you come here, this is where we are supposed to get the case. This is where we are going to change the cases. We shall, of course, click on the drop-down cap there. When you click on the drop-down, it gives you the varieties of those cases. The first one here shows us sentence case, and that's not what we want. The sentence case basically is that kind of case whereby it's only the first letter that will be uppercase or capital for that case in the sentence. Just like the way we were taught in our primary that when you want to write a sentence, the first word should always be capital. That is the sentence case. Then now we come to the lowercase. The lowercase here simply means all the letters will be in small letters. That's not what we want. The lowercase means all the letters in small. And then we have uppercase. Uppercase means that all letters will be in capital. Then we have capital H word. Capital H word simply means that each starting word in every kind of word will be capital. Say for example, under this, the expected amount, it means the T will be capital, the rest will be small. Then in expected, it's the E that will be capital and the rest will be small. And amount, it's A that will be capital and the rest will be small. That is that. So now our case or our scenario for now is basically to make it uppercase. So we shall click on uppercase after we have highlighted it. And now there we are with our uppercase for that case. Now we shall again go back to our question. In the question now we have a table here. In this table they have given a table of, we have 4 columns and then we have 4 rows as well. So of course our columns come from top to bottom and then the rows move from left to right. Those are the rows and columns. So we have 4 by 4 here. Now for this case we are also going to draw our table basing on what we have from here. So we shall get back to our document that we are working on, and then now from here we are going to basically draw our table. How do we draw a table now? For this case of drawing a table, we shall of course put the cursor where we want to draw the table. Then for this case, we shall now come to insert. Now under insert here, we shall now see the table here. Now there is a drop down below the table, and that is where exactly we shall click on, and now it will give us a lot of cells here for this case, individual cells that can form a table that we want. So we now know that in our original document, they need us to create a table that has 4 columns and 4 rows. So we shall now count from here 1, 2, 3, 4. Now those are the columns we have. Now we shall also now look at the rows. Now that is the first row, second row, third, and fourth. Now on top there it even shows 4 by 4 table. And now when we are there, we shall now click there, and now our table of 4 by 4 will be here. So now this is how we create a table. Of course, we said we go to insert. From insert, you come to table. Then now you count the number of cells you want from there, or squares for that case. And then the last square that gives you the number of columns and rows that you want. That is where you can click. Now that is how we came up with our table. It's now up to us to now transfer everything that we want from that to here. So that our table will be the same as the table we have in the question. So that is basically the table we have. Now from here you realize our table is exactly the same as the table in the question paper, and then now we shall of course now go ahead to type looking forward for your feedback. So now that is what we are going to type as well. Now when you're here, you can just click down below the table and then you type what you're supposed to type, which is basically looking forward to your feedback. That's what we want, and there we are. So you realize now in our document, in our question paper, we also have exactly the same work that is in the question paper. So now, after doing that, it means we have successfully typed our document the very way it is appears in the question paper. Now our next task will be basically to now answer these questions under required. Now under required, the first question they have told us is load the following letter into a Microsoft Word application as requisition. Now that is that, but before we do that, remember also under our instructions here, they have told us to create a folder and name it using your names and registration number. So it means the first thing you should have done is to create a folder, which I believe we all know how to create a folder. If you don't know how to create a folder, there are also other videos that we already have in our YouTube channel that will guide you on how to create a folder. So we shall now create our folder on our desktop so that we shall be in position to save this document as requisition into our folder. So that's basically what we are going to be doing here. We shall now create our folder. Of course, we know how to create a folder. We said creating a folder, you come to the desktop because that's where you're supposed to create it in the desktop. Then now we right click. After right clicking, we come to new. From new, we come to folder. Now from there, they are telling us to type there our names and registration numbers. Now assuming your name is Lucia Luke, and then maybe the registration number is, say for example, registration number is UBB maybe 012. Now assuming that is the registration number, then we shall press enter. Now there we are done creating our folder. Then we shall get back to our question. That is that. Then now they are telling us from the question to save it into our folder by calling it requisition. Now this requisition will be now the file name. So we shall now get back to our question, our answer. Then now we either come from here, save, or you come to file. All of them will take you there. So assuming we are going straight away to save, we shall click on save. Then after clicking on save, we shall now of course come to browse, because we want to look for maybe my desktop, desktop or whatever it is. Now after clicking on browse, then now you come on the left here, you have this PC and then you have desktop here. We shall click on desktop, and then now you'll now see the folder you created is here. Then you double click on that folder, and of course it shows there is nothing yet in the folder. Then now you come to file name. Under file name, they have told us to save it as requisition. So from here now, we shall now remove this and save it as requisition. That is now the file name. Then after doing that, we shall now click on save. Now after clicking on save here, it will now be in position to show requisition. Even if now we go to our folder, we shall be in position to see the requisition, implying now that we have successfully saved our file into our folder. So that is that. Under that, part one of the question, which is load, and we are done with that. Then now part B, or part Roman number 2, simply they are telling us format the whole document into agency FB font type. Now that is what we are going to do, the whole file they are saying. So we can highlight the whole file, maybe by coming here and drag it, the whole file, or possibly you can just use your keyboard, that is Control A. When you press Control A, the whole file will be highlighted. Then now we shall now get back to our home. From home, they are telling us to format the file, the whole document, into agency FB. So we shall now come under this. This way you're going to find our font type from under Times. Sometimes it shows Times New Romans, other computers will show something else, maybe Calibri or whatever the case might be, depending on which one is default, by default. Now for ours, it's here. So we shall click on this drop down. When you click on this drop down, you can try to look for what you're looking for or what they have told you to look for. Sometimes looking for it might be very difficult. You might not see it. But what you're going to do, just come here and start typing exactly how the word looks from your question. Now, before I even finish agents FB, it's already showing. Then after doing that, I press enter key. Now from here it now changes from agents new times Romans to agents FB for this case. So it means now I've formatted my file into what I was told, that is agency FB. So that is how you're supposed to do it. It could be a different font type. You can still look for it either from here or just type it before you even finish typing, it will show up. So that is that. Then now the next part of the question, they are telling us to centerline the title of the document. Now when you look at our document, you realize that we could call that this is now maybe the title requesting for payment. So we shall highlight this, of course. After highlighting, our alignments are here. This is a align left, then center line, align right, and justified. Now, what they are telling us is center line. So we shall click on center line, and now you realize that our document, our title has come to center alignment. Now that is how we do it. If they are talking of align left, it means it will be concentrated somewhere here. So that is that. Then now we shall also continue with the next, that is part 4, which is telling us insert a watermark of your full names into the document. A watermark is a kind of either picture or wordings that is underneath your document. So we are going to set the watermark for this case. Our watermark now, we shall find our watermark basically from design. Design is here. Then now when you look at design, you'll have all those things, and then the watermark is here. Now for this case, they are telling us to design our document using which watermark? Insert a watermark of your full name. So that is that. So we shall now insert a watermark of my full names. Even you'll be doing the same thing. So we shall now come here, there is watermark, then we click on the drop down under that. Now here we realize there is confidential 1, 2 and copy 1, 2. Now these are already automated watermarks. But for this case, they are telling us to design using our names. So it means we shall now come to custom watermark. From custom watermark here, we shall click on custom watermark, and then it will give us this kind of dialog box that we are going to fill in. From here, by default, is showing no watermark. Then here is picture watermark. Then text watermark is here. Now, when you look at no watermark, of course, means that the document doesn't have a watermark. Then now picture watermark, assuming you have a picture somewhere in your computer, you now click on picture watermark, and then you come to select picture. When you click on select picture, it will take you to a place in your computer that has pictures. If it's online, you can go and get it online. But if it's offline, you can get it from anywhere in your computer that has pictures. But that's not our interest for today. Our interest for right now is basically text watermark, because your name is in the text. So we shall click on text watermark, and then here it shows language, which is by default English, and whichever, if it's United States or whichever language, you can put it there. But now for this case, it remains the same, and then we shall now come to text. Under text is now where you're going to type your name. You type in there your name, and then you can also choose the font type. Assuming they have asked for font type, you can click here and select whichever font type you want from here. Assuming I wanted maybe, which font type can I use here? Assuming I want maybe Algerian, I can just type, then now Algerian is here, then you click on Algerian. Then now here we have a size is automatic, but you can also click and adjust on the size, maybe assuming you wanted a certain size, maybe which is maybe 120. And then here there is a font color here. Assuming you want a font color maybe orange, you can click on the font color you want. Then also, if you want it to be semi-transparent, you can leave it semi-transparent, or you don't want it to be semi-transparent completely. Then layout here is diagonal. Of course, we know diagonal cuts across, and then we have horizontal. So whichever kind of way or design you want your watermark to appear, you click from here. Now for me, I want it to be diagonal. So I can, after doing all this, I can first click on apply before I click on OK. Because when you click on apply, it will now show up from here. You can see. But if it was okay, it would close everything. But now apply, you can now make adjustments after applying. Maybe now that color is not so much. Maybe you're interested in maybe that blue. Then maybe if that is now the right color you want, you can click OK. Now you realize now that your watermark is somewhere. Like we say, the watermark is something. So either a picture or text that appears underneath the the document. So that's about our watermark. Now you can now see that our document is becoming very beautiful. And then now we shall of course go ahead to do other things. Basically, the next one they are telling us is to insert a two-page color into your document. Now, when you look at our document, it is colorless. Oh, it's white. You can call it white or colorless. We don't have any color here. But now for this case, they are telling us to insert a color, two color or two colors, a mixture of two colors into our document. So that now in our background, we don't see white. We see now those mixtures of colors, basically the two colors. Now, what we are going to do, they have not specified which colors, but we shall now select the colors of our choice. Now, it's still under design, which is now next to a watermark. Now here you can see page color. Now we shall click on this, and then if it was a single color, you just point at any and it would show. But now for this case, they are not interested in a single. Now their interest is basically on two colors. That is more than one color. So it means we shall now come to more colors here. I mean we shall get to from here we shall come to fill effects. Now under fill effects, it will give us this kind of dialog. Now for this case, now under gradient, we have one color, two color preset. Now for this case, we can now see our two colors there. But there are also other options of texture. Assuming it was a texture, it still come to page color. And then instead of gradient, we come to texture. And then there is patterns and pictures. Now our interest is on gradient, and then we're interested basically in two colors. So we shall click on two colors here. And then now there is color 1 and color 2. Now this is now where we are going to mix our colors. Now, of course, if this is the first color, you can click that is the first color. And now black becomes the second color, and you can see now how it's mixed up. Assuming for you you're not interested in black, maybe you're interested in some other color, maybe that color. Now you can see how it is trying to pop in now. Maybe that. Then after doing that, we shall also now come to how do we want these colors to be mixed up? Do we want to shade it horizontally, vertical? You can see how it is diagonal. So you realize the colors were basically different. So from that case, I've selected diagonal. Now for you, if maybe you're interested in diagonal down, you see? So that is basically how we are going to mix up these colors. And you can mix up in whichever way you want. Maybe I need vertical, horizontal. I think horizontal is looking well for me. Then now I can. So there are also others here like center, then from corner, all of them. So you choose the one that really entices you, and then after doing that, you click on OK. Now you can now see from here that we have this color, and then there is also this other color. So the mix-up is really there on our document. So that is how we basically do it. We said we come to design. From design, we come to page color. From page color, we come to fill effect. And then from fill effect, you click on two colors, and then you mix up your colors. So that is that. And then we shall also now go ahead to look at another part of our question, which is bold and double underline the word, the expected amount. Now, when you come to our work, you realize the unexpected amount. The expected amount is somewhere here. The expected amount. From there, they are telling us to bold and double underline. So we are going to highlight that, and then we shall come to home. Under our home, we have bold there. We are done bolding. Then now underlining. Underline is here, but we are not going to click on the underline straight away. Why? Because this underline is not double. So we shall now come and click on this drop down so that we shall be in position to look for that type of underline they have told us to use. Now for this case is double underline. Now when you click on it, it gives you double underline. Now remember the other time, even from this, we also underline, but it was a single underline. That's why we went straight away to you. But for this case, since they needed a certain specific way of underlining, we had to go to the drop down. So that is that. Then now we shall go to the next part of the question, which is basically telling us to add a font color blue into the body of your letter and green to your reference. Now blue to the body, that's font color, then green to the reference. So that's basically what we are also going to do. When the reference is here, and then other part of the text is this, or the body is here. So that is that. And the reference text green, so we shall underline reference, then we go and look for font color green. That is so green. So that is green, and I don't know which green best. Now that is green alone. So we shall click on green. Now you realize that the font color has changed. Then for the other body, we're told to give it a font color blue. So we shall of course underline the rest of the body, and then we shall come to the font size, font color under a home. Then we look for blue, and that is dark blue. That is blue. So that is blue. So we have done that exactly. Then we shall of course go ahead to answer another part of the question, which is telling us to rearrange the activities of the students. So they need us to rearrange the activities of the student. Of course, we shall get back to our document. And the activities of the student, when you look at it, they are here. From here, they are telling us that I have done several activities for the university, including the following. So these are the activities. So we can rearrange these ones, which we know they are basically 3, and it's up to there. So we have underlined. Then now we want to sort or to rearrange. And which way of rearranging? Rearrange the activities of the students. So they have not told us which way, either ascending or descending. So it's now our liberty to choose. Then after doing that, you come to home. Then from home, you come to this sort. From here, it shows A to Z. So we shall click on this. And then what are we rearranging or sorting? Of course, is a paragraph. Paragraphs. These are paragraphs. Then now we come here. Are we rearranging it in ascending or descending order? Now, if assuming we are taking ascending, from here now we have to know which one will come first according to ascending. Of course, we have there is S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. So it means P should come first, and then we have S and T remains the last. So that is that. So we can now take a look at it and take note of the stripping, that is the first, then the painting, then fitting. So when you click on this now, you realize it changes. Has it changed? I think the order still remains. Maybe for this case, we can check it up with the descending and we see whether there will be a change. So now here you can see that painting that was on top now comes down. So that is how we basically sort this in our Word. So that is that about sorting or rearranging. Then now we come to the next, which is bullet the 3 non-tabular activities that the student did. Now for this case, we know that non-tabular, this is a tabular, and then non-tabular, these activities still, the very ones we have just rearranged. So they are telling us to bullet, they have not told us any way of bulleting. So still, we highlight it and come to home. From home now we come, this is bullet, and this is numbering. Assuming they are talking of numbering, we now come to this drop down. But for this case, we are talking about bulleting. So it means we shall come to this drop down. We shall not click on bullet straight away, because if we do, it will give us a certain bullet, assuming that's not what you want. So that's why we are clicking on this one, so that this will give us options. Then we select which kind of bulleting are we interested in. Is it that one? Is it that? Is it that one? So we select the type of bulleting that we are interested in. So assuming is this one, we shall click on that. So it has already bulleted. Doesn't matter which way of bulleting, because it's not specific. That's why we are selecting any. Then now there is this number 11. Apply a shading green on the table headings and blue on other rows of the table. So now here they are telling us to apply a shading color green. So here is apply a shading color green. So we are applying a shading color green on the table headings. Green on the table headings. And of course we know this is the table headings. That is activity, quantity, unit, price, and total amount. So we shall of course underline that they have told us that is a table headings, and they are telling us to shade it green. So we highlight. Then now green, shading is basically here under home. Then when you point at it, it shows shading. Then we shall click on the drop down, and then we look for the green they are talking of. that is green. So we click on that. Now you realize it has changed that background to green. Then now they are telling us that the whole of the other parts of the table to blue. So we shall now highlight all this. Oh, sorry. We are saying we shall now highlight the whole of this other than the table headings, and then we shall come now to our shading, and then we look for blue. That is dark blue. That is blue. So we click on blue. Now you realize for this case, our colors affected our wordings, but provided you have done what the examiner wants you to do. So that is that. So we have changed the table. Now then we shall now go to the next, that is insert a page border of your choice into your work. Now we want a page border. Of course, a page border is basically a surrounding of your document, surrounding within your document. So insert a page border. Now for this case, we are interested in a page border, and when you look at it, still we shall again come to design. From design, we have a page borders here. Of course, we shall click on it. They are telling us a page border of our choice. So we shall click on this, and then this box or dialog box comes in, and by default is none. Then we shall now select which page border do we want. Do we want a box? Something like that. From here, there is a preview. Do you want a shadow? Something like that. Do you want a 3D? Something like that. So whichever. So assuming you wanted maybe a 3D or shadow, then there is a style here. You can select also your style. You want a double lines, it will appear like that. Or you want just dotted or whichever. All of them are here. You can choose because they have told us any of your choice. So there are so many when you scroll down. Assuming that is the one, then maybe we select to 3D. That is that. You can also, instead of having a black color, which is automatic, we can also choose a color of our choice. Assuming the color is, you can select some color that is unique in its own way. Assuming that is the color we want. And there is also width here. Under width, we can select, do we want or half point, a quarter point, you choose. Here you select. Then sometimes you might also be interested in the art. The art are basically these other appetizing things. Maybe for me, I don't need it. So for me, I'm just going to use the 3D, and then my font color is this. And I want it to be, the thickness or width should be 2.25. So that is that. And then you want to apply it to a whole document. Assuming you wanted to apply it only to one section, you can select from here. So that is that. Then after that, we click OK. Now you realize the page border has appeared. Now this is our page border. So it's nice. So whichever way you wanted it, that is how I wanted mine. So that is that about the page border. Then now we come to the next, which is telling us to insert page numbers in your document. Now we shall now go to our page. Now when you look at it, we only have one page. It means now we shall only have one page number. So now for this case, we want to number or to insert the pages, the page numbers. So for that case, we shall now come to insert. From somewhere here, you'll now see the page number. Then we shall click on the drop down under the page number. How do we want the page number to appear? They have not specified, but we can select. Maybe we want it to be on the bottom of the page. Do you want it to be current position, wherever, maybe on top? So whichever way you want it. Now assuming for me, I want it to be on bottom of the page. Then from the bottom of the page, it gives you these options. There are so many options here, so you can choose. Assuming I wanted this, then I click on that. Now you realize my page number is here. Now next time when I create another page, it will show page 2. Since I only have one, that's how it will appear. Then now we shall go to the next part of the question, which is telling us to copy and paste your work into page 2 of the document. Now, for this case, we are going to create page 2. How do we create another page in our document? Now, we are going to create a page. You can create it in several ways, maybe by just bringing the cursor down here where there is no other text and you know that there is no other text below. Then you start pressing enter, enter, enter key until you reach to the next page. But that is so tedious. But also you can also, what you're going to do, just bring the cursor somewhere free here whereby you're sure there is no other wording. You can put it somewhere where there is no other wording. Then now from here, we can now come to insert. From insert, we come to blank page here. Then we click on blank page. Another page would be created. Now here we have page 2. So it means we have created another page for that case. Then now we do what the question is telling us, that is copy and paste your work into page 2 of the document. So that's basically what we are going to do. So we shall copy our work, of course, by highlighting first, we said. Then now we bring the cursor to where you've just highlighted. Don't take the cursor anywhere outside the highlighted area. Put it anywhere where you've highlighted. Then you right click. When you right click, it gives us these options, and then if they are talking of cut, you do cut, but for this case we are copying. Copying means when you copy it, you duplicate. Everything remains here and goes the other side as well. But cut means you would lose everything here and then would only regain it in page 2. So that is the difference. Then now we shall click on page 2 where we are going to paste the work. So we shall click and then we right click and then we paste. There are different pasting options here, whichever you want. Keep source formatting means we keep the previous work to be the same way. Then we have merge formatting. Merge formatting means we are using the recent document, page, like page 2, we are using the page 2 formatting. But our interest is to keep everything at par. We shall use the first one. Now here is our work. It has pasted. But when you look at it again, it has created a third page, but that's not what we want. Now we can remove the third page. How do we remove the third page now? We can just put the cursor somewhere in the last bit of the work. Then we can keep on deleting until it removes the third page. That is one way. The other way, we can just highlight the third page and delete. So all that one will take us to the right place. So here now we have 2 pages. That is what we are expected to have done. So you realize basically we have answered our question successfully, and with that we come to the end of answering the question. And please make sure that you watch this over and over again so that you'll understand basically how to answer questions in one. So thank you so much for listening, and be tuned to our channel because you'll receive more videos.